Just ahead of Mo Egger, for those uninitiated, our viewers that maybe haven't been paying attention since Friday afternoon, and Mo's watching. I've been familiar with Mo for a while because he's had a few epic rants on his program down there on ESPN 1530 in Cincinnati over the years. But on Friday, he turned the guns on me, and here's a snippet of it that Darren put together. Roll that, Jordan, please.
There must be nothing happening in Canada right now. I couldn't care less about Canadian Football League football. Has the Grey Cup been decided? Nobody cares. Anyway, forget about that. Here's Rod Pedersen banging on the Bengals uniforms, and my fear is he might be right.
But the Bengals, awful again. Why would you change those?
I like them.
Because
The
they're
problem's
ugly.
not the jerseys.
They're ugly.
It's the people in the jerseys. You fix that, and then you'll be on the road to greatness. Let's just distract everybody.
Rod Pedersen, how boring is the Canadian Football League when what you're talking about on the Game Plus network in Canada? By the way, he mentioned the Montreal Canadiens. I'm a casual hockey fan. The Montreal Canadiens haven't even been in the Stanley Cup final since 1993. I don't say this to be mean because I love all the stuff the Reds do, but the Reds do some stuff that distracts you, right? Hey, we're not going to be very good, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to have Pete Rose weekend. But if there's a team in sports that doesn't do that, it's the Bengals. In fact, we've been begging the Bengals to distract us. They do the exact opposite of what Rod Pedersen up there in Canada just accused them of. They're not trying to distract anybody. They're trying to rebrand. Rod Pedersen just talked about rebranding. I guess he went from his radio show to a TV. I had never heard of the guy, but he referenced it. They're rebranding. In life, sometimes you got to rebrand. One day, I'll probably have to rebrand.
Okay, that's it. A nice editing job, by the way. And let's go down to Cincinnati now, the heartbeat of Ohio. Mo Egger joins us today. Mo, I appreciate the time, my man. I hope you didn't think that we were going to give you a hard time coming on here today. What were you expecting when we reached out over the weekend?
To be flogged? I don't know. There's nothing worse than listening to yourself. Good God, that's awful. Here's what I do want to say. I don't know who that dude who was on before me is, but I sat here and listened to like a really good, thoughtful, insightful 20 minutes, and now you're having me on.
That's funny. That's one of Canada's top reporters there, Mo. But hey, we all thought it was hilarious, and what you said on Friday. And listen, I get it, but how did you find the clip, by the way? How did you find it? I'm not shocked at all that you don't know who we are. I'd like to know how you found us.
It's funny. I'm sitting at my desk. We're on from 3 to 6 in the afternoon Eastern time. I'm sitting at my desk at like 1:30, 1:45. My producer and I had just met to talk about and he goes back to this for his pre-show nap. And I get an email from him, and literally the subject is some Canadian dude Bengals. And so I hit play on it, and I watched like the first 30 seconds, and then I got called away. So most of what you said, when I heard it on the air, that was the first time that I had heard it. I think I heard about maybe half of your the Bengals are going to change their uniforms and still going to suck rant. So I hadn't heard the whole thing. I haven't asked my producer. I should go get him. I don't know where he is. I should go ask him how he found it. But he literally sent me this YouTube clip. And, from my standpoint, it's 4:45 on a Friday. As you might imagine, the well is kind of dried up when it comes to topics. The Bengals haven't played in weeks. Our local college basketball teams are on pause because of COVID-19. The Reds are having the most boring offseason ever. So I'm just looking for something to react to. And there, right in my lap, fell your little anti-Bengals rant. So really, I should be thanking you.
Well, now you know why we're talking about the Bengals, because there's not a ton going on up here. But one thing you did find out, Mo, is that CFL fans are very protective of their league. And also Western Hockey League fans, I might add. I mean, what about the reaction you received over the past few days?
Back, I think on the show, I don't think you had it in your clip there. I think I called it the World Hockey League, which was, I confused it with the World Hockey Association, which back in the 70s, we had a team. We had the Stingers. I got a lot of pushback from CFL fans. And here's my ignorance. I didn't know the CFL season didn't even happen, which I don't like. We actually, one of our favorite guys here is Zach Caleros, who played his college ball at UC at the University of Cincinnati. And he's obviously gone on to a great amount of success in the Canadian Football League. So we're excited for him. The part that I've never understood since I was like 9 years old, though, is why are there two teams called by the same name? And I've never had anybody explain that to me. Perhaps that's where you can come in, Rod.
Okay, Mo, because two leagues merged. And they both had this.
Gotcha.
That's what it was. And it's football. Nobody wanted to give up their team name. So we're all waiting for.
Couldn't flip a coin or trade a draft pick to change your name. I mean, there's ways around this. It's for somebody north of the border or south of the border, I should say. It's a little confusing.
Oh, it was confusing for us. Are you kidding me? How about being a broadcaster of it? It's the Rough Riders versus the Rough Riders. By the way, Craig Campbell from the Hockey Hall of Fame is watching in downtown Toronto. Can you guys put his comment up, by the way, from Mo?
Oh, no.
If you did, yeah, from the Hockey Hall. No, it's good. He goes, you can tell Mo gets it by wearing a Montreal Expos cap today, and now he'll become a regular RPShow guest, no doubt. You had that in your closet, Mo, or did you run out and buy it this weekend?
I don't know where you would go out and buy a Montreal Expos hat in Cincinnati. No, I had this hat. I've had this hat for like 15, 16 years because I hated the fact that the Expos moved. I hated the fact that they moved that team. But I've never been to Montreal. I have been to Toronto for the International Bowl in January of 2007. Cincinnati played Western Michigan. I was there for that game. But when I was a kid watching Reds games, they would play the Expos. And I know this is going to sound weird because obviously it is a different country, but I would watch those games as a kid, and it felt like they were being broadcast on another planet, right? Like you'd have the public address announcer didn't speak English. They had two different ways of measurement on the outfield walls. So I always had a soft spot in my heart. They always had good teams. And the hat is also signed by Tracy Jones on the bill of this hat. You can see this. My former Montreal Expo, Tracy Jones, you can't see it. Signed this hat. I used to work with him, so it's. I figured if I was going to be on in Canada today, I would at least placate the audience by wearing my Expos lid.
Well, it is kind of another planet. I'll agree with you there. Phil Gross watching. He says this guy seems legit. He's wearing blue, by the way.
No.
Surprised he doesn't have the new Bengals gear on. Do you wear it? I see in your one. Oh, it hasn't come out yet. Oh, damn! Will you be the first to send it to me?
Yeah. No, that would cost me money, but I'll see if the Bengals will, because you know what? They love me. But you know what? Like, here's the thing about what you said, right? And look, there are a lot of teams in professional sports that go out of their way to distract from how bad the on-field product is, right? Like, I think to a degree, the baseball team here is pretty good at that. And it's not because they don't want you to see the on-field product, but they develop a lot of goodwill because, you know, they have a great team Hall of Fame, and they have an off-season fan festival every year, and they're really good at fan outreach and a ballpark experience that's great. And so I think to a degree, there are people who focus more on that and less on the fact that the Reds haven't won a postseason in 25 years. The Cincinnati Bengals actually never distract you from how bad they are. We always talk here about how the Bengals have no Ring of Honor, no Team Hall of Fame. They do very little to honor their all-time greats. The uniforms, which, you know, as somebody who grew up a Bengals fan, I've hated the uniforms for 16 years. I can't stand. I've been talking about this since day one on the air, many years ago. Like they need new uniforms. And they never do. They never do stuff that distracts you from the on-field product, which 5 consecutive losing seasons. They haven't won a playoff game in 30 years. And so the ironic part of what you said is what you accuse them of doing is actually what they never do. They never say, hey, look over here. Look at our team Hall of Fame, or look at this off-field festival we're doing, or hey, look at our updated new stadium, or hey, look at our new uniforms. They're finally doing that, and I think it's a welcome change. But the ironic part to me was that this is actually something you could never accuse the Bengals of doing. And then I used that as a jumping off point to show that I knew that the Montreal Canadiens hadn't been in a Stanley Cup final in 27 years. So I was excited for that. And
you did brush up on some researching there. Clark Campbell, a local hockey referee, writes in. He says, all is forgiven, Mo Egger. You are a real gem. Jeff, the Stampeders fan, says, has the Bengals' new uniforms been released yet? You've said no, right? Mo, you haven't.
It's going to be in the spring. No, it's going to be in the spring. What I can tell you is they're going to keep their helmet, which is, I think most people think that's a good thing. I tend to disagree, but not that sharply. But yeah, the uniform, my guess is the NFL draft is in late April, and they'll do something around then. Hopefully the pandemic is to the point that, they can do some sort of public event for it. But I can tell you here it's being met with a great amount of anticipation. And in all seriousness, this is a franchise where there's reason for hope because they do have Joe Burrow. And so I think they're trying to kind of turn the page a little bit. And maybe this is something they would have done this past season if they knew they were going to get the number 1 overall pick. Now that they do and they have a guy that they can build around, I think they're trying to. They did this in 2004 when they had Carson Palmer. They introduced new uniforms. Unfortunately, they look like my daughter got a bunch of orange and black and white crayons together. I've never liked them. This is another opportunity for them to do something like that, and I think it represents them starting fresh with a quarterback that's at least, from what we've seen so far, is worth starting fresh with.
All right. Viewer Lonnie Weisar Jr. writes in. He says, I listen to Mo every day from my desk. I hope my boss doesn't catch me watching the RP show on his time. So, Mo, look, we'll let you go. We do air all across the state of Ohio on Game Plus television, believe it or not. So it may be coming to infect a TV near you, our program. But I want to let you know. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, there's two things. Number one, if you look at where you're sitting and your elaborate set, you look like you're in a man cave. I'm in what basically constitutes a storage closet in our building. So I think we could see where the career trajectories are going. No, it was fun that you reached out and had a sense of humor about it. And I enjoyed what a lot of people were saying this over the weekend on Twitter. And, by the way, thank you for Joey Canada. We love him. So, we're excited about him. We appreciate Joey Votto. Wish he was, we could slow the aging curve a little bit. But our favorite Canadian import is the Reds' first baseman. We love him. So thank you. Thank you, Canada.
All right. Gotcha. Mo, thank you, my man. Keep in touch.
All right, Rod. Anytime. Let's do it again. Thank you.
You betcha. You bet. There's our Bengals insider. Mo Egger from
storage closet. It looks like your old.
It looks like my old
job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.